Hi, my name is Eric Sians Krakaps, and today I would like to tell you about the evolution of maps from ancient cartography to digital mapping. From the time mankind developed writing and complex civilization evolved, humans have created maps. All cartography was used for many different reasons, some spiritual, some economic. Much like any form of creativity in ancient times, for the most part it allowed people to understand their environment and eventually theorize about distant lands. Cartography shapes how we think about the globe and how we see ourselves. In this presentation, I'm going to briefly explore the history of cartography over the centuries. The aim of this research is to explore the evolution of cartography, from ancient hand-drawn maps to modern digital mapping technologies. By understanding how maps have developed over time, we can see their impact on exploration, trade, science, and daily life. In order to conduct this research, two research methods were used: analysis of historical events and documents, and archival studies. So what were the first maps? The Babylonians created the first type of maps, carving them onto clay tablets. Some maps are sketches of town structures, but for the most part they were far different from how we would perceive typical maps. On the Babylonian world map, the world was represented by basic geometric shapes, not literal replications. Their neighbors were deliberately left out, and the Babylonian religious matter was labeled as a physical place in the world. Throughout much of human history, mythical lands and religious tales were labeled as factual places on maps. Since satellites did not exist and maps were the only way to see the world, such lands could be seen as just as real to some people as Britain or Spain. For most of human history, unexplored areas were left blank, put in legend, or sometimes filled with mythical places. The ancient Greeks began to philosophize about the world around them. What we would traditionally consider a map was first produced by the philosopher Anaximander, representing the three continents known to the Greeks at the time: Europe, Asia, and Libya. The Greeks separated Europe from Asia, and this mindset has stuck ever since. This time, the Greeks believed the earth was a flat disk with an ocean at the very edge. By antiquity, it became common knowledge among the Greeks that the earth was a sphere simply by observing the stars and the sun. Greek and Roman cartography. With the expansion of Alexander the Great's empire, the Greeks mapped out new regions of the continent. For centuries, the smaller Greek states were subject to outside invasions, and lands past Anatolia remained a mystery. By Roman times, the Greek-Egyptian Claudius Ptolemy created the most extensive view of the Western world, using research from past scholars. However, he mistakenly theorized that the Indian Ocean was a large enclosed body of water, with the coastline extending from Africa and connecting to Asia. This mistake was later corrected. From this point on, it became common knowledge that the Indian Ocean was open and not surrounded by land. The Greek philosopher Strabo documented numerous peoples across Europe and Asia. At this time, Europeans were beginning to hear about a mysterious civilization on the edge of the continent, the Chinese. Communication between the two was rare, simply due to the vast distance. However, Roman and Chinese items did pass through Persian and Indian merchants. This meant that the Chinese were at least mentioned on the edge of the distant world, or as the Romans called it, Serica. When the Roman Empire fell and the Middle Ages began, Europeans turned inward instead of looking globally. Instability and the spread of Christianity across Europe rapidly changed population interpretations. Many previous advancements in cartography were disregarded as supposedly false according to literal beliefs. Some even theorized that the Earth was square based on certain passages. Medieval maps were not meant for navigation. They were more symbolic, meant to illustrate the perception of the world at the time. A common style of medieval maps was the TO map. a simplified pattern that split the world into three zones: Europe, Asia, and Africa. The T represented the Mediterranean, while the O symbolized the global ocean surrounding the continents. During the Middle Ages, the Arabs, having conquered the Middle East and North Africa, began a new age of learning. Arab cartographers not only corrected Ptolemy's mistakes, but also navigated India and Central Asia. These findings would later be helpful to Europeans. By the 13th century, Theo maps were becoming unpopular, and Italian scholars invented the Portolan chart, which allowed for better documentation of coastlines and more accurate trade routes. By the Renaissance, Europe was once again willing to explore. The Ottomans had made traditional routes between Asia and Europe unreliable, so Europeans began looking to new regions. The age of discovery had begun. Columbus was not the first European to reach the Americas, nor was he the one to prove the earth was round. However, his expeditions led to European attention toward the Americas. This map, the map of Juan de la Cosa, who traveled with Columbus, is the first documentation of the Americas, showing sketches of the Caribbean islands in the 1500s. At the time, they were assumed to be part of Asia. The new rush for colonies spurred European investment in sciences, cartography, and technological advances to explore the world. Spanish monarchs financed expeditions that enabled explorers to create maps like this one. Now we arrive at the modern age. Today it's hard to imagine a time when people couldn't see what the world looked like. But for the most of human history, artistically drawn maps, and more recently scientifically accurate maps, were the only way people could picture the world. For thousands of years, mankind only saw the world through drawings. It wasn't until just a few decades ago, with the space program, that humans got the first pictures of what our planet actually looked like. This relates to us because cartography has shaped how we perceive ourselves and the world. In conclusion, mapping has been a vital tool for society as long as civilization has existed. With GPS, our world feels smaller, and with the internet more connected, you can click on Google Maps and traverse literal pictures of anywhere on the globe. In the past, people died just to explore the same regions we can now navigate with a computer mouse. I would like to end this presentation with a quote by Abraham Ortelius: "Without maps, the world is just a place." Thank you for listening to my presentation, and I hope you have a great day.